You are listening to the Cocoa Blend Podcast. Our podcast aims to shatter the misconception that Black parents cannot co-parent without drama. A podcast for moms of faith who are tired of unnecessary conflicts, seeking a positive shift, and eager to embrace harmonious co-parenting in their blended family. In other words, moms who just want to co-parent without the drama. I am your host, Jamie Newton-Knight, motherhood mastery mentor and co-parenting coach. Join us as we navigate through insightful conversations and empowering stories, redefining the norms and celebrating the strength of united co-parenting in the Black community. So turn on that GPS and let's navigate the blend.
I did not divorce him. He served me with divorce papers. And that was after he served me less than a month of being back in Michigan, literally probably like 2 weeks. He had me served at my grandmother's house with child support papers and custody papers. Yes. And he was about to go to Korea.
I was going to say, you're in the military. What are you getting custody of?
What? And mind you, the whole time we were married, I've been a stay-at-home mother and wife, and he knows this. So what? And so he did that the day I was originally supposed to leave. He did admit to me because he was upset. He was in his feelings. That's why he did it.
I was going to say, what spiteful reason was behind that?
Yeah,
because it sounded like there was a spiteful reason behind it.
Because it was the day I was actually leaving to go from North Carolina to Michigan. And I guess he didn't believe that I was really going to leave. But he literally came in our house one day and was like, I'm about to go to Korea, so I don't know what you and the kids are going to do. And so I had to make a choice at the drop of a hat. Okay, am I going back to Colorado or am I going to Michigan where my family is, where I can afford it? Mm-hmm. Because you came in our home and you said, what are you going to do? You got to figure it out.
Right.
And so it's so many different dynamics, so many different things to look at. But I will say again, like I said, the influence that his wife has on him plays a really big role on it. And boundaries is a big thing. I have finally gotten to the point, especially since the summer and everything that happened and that with what went down, that I don't want us to be in court. I would rather we not. I don't want to do that. He stopped the papers because we were agreeing, we were on the same page. I said, but I can't afford for you to and my kids. I don't want them going through that. That's a lot. I said, I can't afford for you to be like, okay, I'm gonna keep the kids for the summer, and then you think that you could just make up your mind on your own that they're going to be here for a year, or they're going to be here for 2 years. Like, you can't do that, and that's not you have to make that choice and decision with me. We're parenting together. I said, and I understand that she needs to be involved in some choices, but she definitely doesn't need to be involved in any, because when you go to court and they're like, okay, well, no, you're not the parent. And both of these parents are very active in their children's life. And so you need to go sit down somewhere because you're going to get this man into trouble. And unfortunately, that's kind of what it's come down to.
Right. So, yes, I agree that, like, if you have any, as a wife, if you have any say, like if you want to have a say in the conversation, then yeah, you and your husband sit down and have that conversation, either prior to him and I talking or me and him talk, and then you guys go and decide what you want to do and how it will affect your household or whatever. But there definitely does need to be a conversation. I'm gonna have to get the stepmoms on a call. We're gonna have to do like a call with everybody because the differing, like, people have so many different opinions about it and thoughts and like how it should be or how they do it, that as I'm talking to you, I'm like, oh my goodness, I've heard differently from a bonus mom or stepmom. So I'm very interested in how that conversation will go. But I definitely think that the two parents should have some form of a conversation.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, if of course, since you're married, you have to have that conversation with your spouse,
right,
to keep them involved in what's going on. Because if I say our children want to come to your house for the summer, or our children want to come to your house for the year, I can say whatever I want. That's not my house. You still have to go back to your spouse and say, the kids want to come here for a year. How are we feeling about that?
Right.
So
Right.
that part I understand, that part I totally respect. I don't have an issue with that at
Not
all.
not at
It's,
all.
yeah, I don't have a problem. You have to make, they have to make whatever choices, you know, and decisions for their household. So I totally get that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sir, let's talk. You can't switch it up in the middle.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. Like if I'm agreeing and I brought the kids to you, I'm not keeping our kids from him. That I've never used them to threaten him. Now, I will be totally honest with you. Of course, I've had those selfish moments where I don't want to deal with you at all. I would rather pay you off to live somewhere happy for the rest of your life than to ever have to deal with you. And that's just
Mm-hmm.
a really honest and, transparent thoughts that have come through my mind and I've thought about. But I understand that my kids need to have that relationship with their dad. And so
Right.
I've been, being the parent, like I said, where I have been the cooperative parent. I took our kids to you. I don't have a problem with that. You know, and I get that you have a wife and you need to be able to talk to her. And, I get all of that. That's totally fine. Again, I don't have a problem with that. The problem is the switching up. And if you're telling me one thing and then there's boundaries that still needs to be there because with being a bonus mom, if that's what you're doing and that and you're in that type of relationship, and that's fine, that's one thing, but there are still boundaries everywhere.
Absolutely.
There's boundaries. I'm not going to cross the boundaries and be like, I don't tell this man to buy or do nothing for me. He do it on his own.
Right.
But it's not like I'm going to go and say, okay, hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, or I need you to get me clothes and do all of this. I don't need you to do none of that for me. None of it.
Right.
Because I don't want to be in between nobody's mess. And I definitely ain't becoming in between nobody's marriage, regardless of how it started, because I know what the word says about it.
I know
And
that's right.
so there needs to be boundaries. Unfortunately, what I can say for him is something that I've known for a long time is he has a hard time setting those boundaries, especially with the women that's in his life. And
So he's just
so
gonna do everything to keep everyone happy.
to try to keep everyone happy, yes. To try and keep everyone happy,
Yeah,
yes. And so that
and
plays a really big part.
he's thinking it's keeping the peace, but it's actually causing a lot of chaos and confusion in the back.
Yes. Yes, it's causing more chaos. It's causing more confusion. My kids are confused. They're like, okay, when you talking to mommy, like, him and our daughter, they went to Walmart and I'm talking to her, and my daughter goes, mommy, they get in the car and she goes, mommy, everybody misses you. Everybody misses you. I said, I miss y'all too. And she says, and everybody loves you too. Daddy, don't you love mommy? Yeah, I really love her. And the kids already have it in their mind that we're going to get back together and we're all going to live together and kumbaya. And it's not that. And another thing, is that you can't. I will talk to her now. We can be cordial. Me and her have definitely had some words, but we're at the point now where we can have a cordial conversation. But unfortunately, when I'm talking to her, she's in the background, or he will not talk to me about our children or about our business without her. And normally I end up on the phone with her and I'm not talking with him. And that's a problem because her and I don't have that type of relationship yet where I feel comfortable talking about anything business related, especially with our kids, to her. And so we can talk, okay, hey, if one of the kids gets sick, what happened? Okay, hey, they can take this, they can't take that, different things along those lines, but we don't have a friendship.
Right.
Um, and this again, a lot of this starts with how it started. It would be different if him and I divorced and then they got together and
Right.
all
Right.
this different stuff like that. But because a lot of how this happened is why we are where we are. Not to mention, him and I weren't even legally divorced yet before they were married. And so, yeah. And so it's literally like, it's not because I don't, if he marries somebody else, he's with somebody else, I do not care. I could care less. Girl, keep him, please.
I already know what he's all about. But
I know what
the
he
funny
about.
thing is that if a person were to see or hear your story, and they would be like, oh, she's bitter. She's the bitter baby mama.
Oh yeah,
Not
yeah,
knowing the back, I've heard it all. The
yeah.
backstory of like, there's a reason why it's difficult to get to a space of being able to co-parent the
Yes.
proper way. And it's
Yes.
a lot because of his the way he moves. Like
Yes.
one moment he's like, I'm gonna buy you a house, and here's all this grocery for your place, and here's the money for the rent. And then when he is in front of his wife, then it's I think you should pay child support while the kids are here with me for the
Yep.
summer. Like,
Yep. And he would never ask me for a dime ever. If it's just me and him, and when he can't, girl, he won't ask me to do nothing. But that's always been him since we've met. And so
right.
I know that of him. But I also know that he as well has an issue with setting boundaries.
Mhm.
And he can either be really, really nice or he can be really, really mean. And so there's nothing in
In
between.
between.
Yeah, and I think another thing, just off of my personal opinion, is that whether if they were going to get married or not, it was something that happened too fast without any healing on both sides. And I will say, for me personally, I have not been in a relationship in a long time. God set me down, and I spent a long time in isolation, and that was very, very difficult. But out of that, a lot of healing came, a lot of healing. And so it was difficult, but I'm grateful for that because of
Amen.
where God took me from then till now, even with my mental, and even with what I'm doing, me being able to freely talk about the relationship, between me and him and my marriage and things like that. I've come a very, very long way. And so that's why I can honestly say, and like I said, knowing him, that there should have been a time of healing
Right, absolutely.
before just jumping into something.
Everybody needs that between relationships. It's
Yes.
often that women will take the time, like we often will take the time to heal. Not always, not all women, but we will
Yes.
take that time to heal, especially from a breakup like that, where you were in a relationship for several
Yeah.
years, you were married and then divorced. And so you women often will stop and like, I, I have the kids with me, so I have to be in
Mm-hmm.
my right state of mind, right? But also, I really want to do things right. I just know that in the space I'm in right now, I can't do things right because I'm so mad
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the way things occurred. And so that healing process is definitely important for us to take. So you saying that, I'm like, I remember that in my life after my breakup, it was like I needed that time to heal. At first, I was trying to be so busy that I couldn't keep still. And God was like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's not gonna happen, boo. You gonna sit down. And
Yeah, and
he
that's what he did. He literally like forced me in the corner. Girl, I cannot tell
Mhm.
you how many days, how many nights I would just be in the shower and God would be like, pray for him. And I'd be like, I don't want
But I don't
to,
want to.
I'm mad at him. And so it's so many levels to it. It's so many levels to it. And when you first go into the isolation, you're like, okay, I can do this. I'm gonna stay busy with the kids and I'm gonna stay busy
Hmm.
with work and all of, and then reality sinks in. For me, it was okay, there's no combat boots laying on the floor. I have to take out my own trash. Little stuff like that.
All the little things.
And I knew he was wrong. And I'm not saying that I was perfect, not at all, because I know where I could have done better in the marriage. And it doesn't mean that I stepped out. I've never ever physically cheated on my ex-husband, but I would have conversations, and that's bad enough because again an emotional attachment.
Right.
And so it's still bad. And so I know where I definitely could have improved and where I could have been better. I asked the Lord to reveal those things to me, and he showed me all of who I was. And so
Mm.
I also had to go through that. And so it was steps, it's process, it's levels to this, to this
Amen.
healing. And some people get over it faster than others, and some people it take a little while. For me, it wasn't till last year spring where I think he messaged me or called me, and it would literally be at the point where I don't want to see his name come across my screen. He didn't have my number for a long time, and the only reason he got it was from his mama. Yeah, my phone number. I didn't want to see his name come across my screen. Nothing. When I knew he was calling, when I tell you my stomach would turn, it would turn, and my stomach would be upset for days. And God put me in an uncomfortable position last year, and he told me that I had to admit to somebody that what I was feeling. And I'll never forget that night. I was in my room with him, and I had just talked, and my friend was in my living room, and I come out and I said, I need to tell you something. I have to confess something. And she goes, what's that? And I said, I did not know it. I said, but I have a strong hatred for that man. And I had to get it out. I had to just say it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, wow, that's deep. And I was like, yeah. I said, it is. It's really, really deep. I said, but this is something that I have to say. The Lord is on me to say it. He's convicting me. You need to get this out because you have to heal from also that. And so there's steps, there's levels. And so, but after that, from that point, things did start to change. And I want my children back home. This was not supposed to go down, but God has me at a different place, at a different spot where now I'm able to be like, okay, Lord, whatever you say will be, will be. But I know that you're going to take care of it. I know that you're going to handle it because you've already confirmed that. That's already been confirmed. I just have to keep being obedient and doing what
That's
you
right.
told me to do last and not focusing on what the enemy is trying to distract me with.
Right. That's
And
right.
so it took a lot, like I said, I was at a halt. My stomach would hurt. I would be really, really upset. I would go through the sickness for days after talking to him. I could literally only talk to him one time, and for days I wouldn't feel good because he triggered me that much. But once I started admitting these things and confessing these other things, then God started, okay, now this is it. Now this is where we're going to go. Then God gave me the okay to, now I want you to go to your podcast and I want you to talk about your marriage and I want you to talk about how you can heal from trauma and relationships. And I want you to do this and you know what I mean? And so then he gave me the green light to keep moving forward. And it was because of that confession, on why I can speak so much more freely and clearly about the situation.
Yes, that is so good. Oh my goodness, all of
Yeah.
it. When I hear you say, you are literally the perfect definition of my framework. I came up with this framework because I'm in a blended family too.
Yes.
And I went through a lot of very similar things as you. And exactly what you said is exactly what I've experienced. So God had me in that phase of like, I call it the blend framework. And the first one is being open, being honest, being real. So I was saying that people have to first acknowledge that they feel anything. Because sometimes we want to run from it so much that we're like, I don't feel not like, what are you talking about? Sis, how can you
Yeah.
heal if you won't admit that you're hurt? So then the second
Exactly.
part of it is admitting, labeling it and letting it go.
Yep.
So that once
Yep.
you labeled it, just like you said, God was then able to move in and do a mighty work because you were able to
Yes.
start the healing process.
Yes.
That's exactly what it takes. You see, listen, the method works, guys. She is a
It
true
works. It works. I'm
she
telling you,
is
it
the
works.
true reason, like the true person to say, like, I'm
I'm
feeling
telling
it.
you, it works because I had a hard time. For me, it was a hard time accepting the fact that I did have that feeling for someone. No,
Mm-hmm.
I can't hate anybody. I don't know. That's not me. The Lord, you preaches against that. No, but I was in denial of that because how can I hate this man?
Right.
And then God was like, He took you through a lot. Y'all went through a lot. This is what happened. And I didn't want to be the person to point and blame. He's the problem. He's the this. He's the that. But I had to get to a point where, like, dang, that really did hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't like him, but I loved him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to. God revealed a lot to me, but it started with that, like you said, categorizing it, saying everything.
Yeah.
Saying, okay, Lord, no, this really made me feel some type of way. This still hurts.
Yep.
Like it took me a while to even come to the fact that I have a trust issue, and well, I don't now. I'm so much more better, but I had a trust issue, and not because I'm not trusting that you're not going to go cheat on me. I have a trust issue because I don't want to be in another relationship and where I've spent another 9 years, and then later on it's something different because I don't have. I'm a person where I don't like to waste time.
Right.
And so I don't want to, I have a trust issue because I don't want you wasting my time. And so it was so many things where I had to go and be like, okay, Lord, this is a problem. I'd be like, all right, God, I'm ready to get married. Where's my husband? And he'd be like, yeah,
Not yet.
not yet. Are you
I'll
really?
tell you when.
Are you really?
That's why he have you on this love podcast. That's your ministry.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
definitely going to have you speaking to so many people with so many
Yes.
different stories about love that it reinstills in you that it's possible for you and that it's like like what you experienced was an experience.
Yes.
And it was a lesson in that experience. Even though we don't see it at the time, we like, God, what was that about?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
afterwards, you understand that, okay, that was a lesson in my life, and you are going to be able to move on, find love, and be
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, God has already revealed them to me. I already know, who it is, what it is. I just gotta, I'm praying the distractions away because they come when the Lord moves in your life. The distractions come in different ways. I'm telling y'all, everybody who's listening, look, just as well as God knows what plans He has for you, the enemy does too. So He will send distractions. He will send distractions because He knows who you are. And so pay attention to those, because especially if you are getting out of a relationship and you're like, okay, Lord, I think I'm ready to move on. God sends vessels, but the enemy got minions. Okay. And he know what you praying about. Okay. He listening. And
You'll
so
be
he will
like, this is
surely
the
send
one right
somebody.
here.
This is the one. And then
God's like,
and then you stuck with somebody who wasn't even supposed to be there ever. And so that's something I want to put out there. And also let your listeners and your viewers know there is a very, very, very thin line between love and idolizing. I stand on that. It is a very, very thin line.
yes.
It's something I can speak on for myself. I know that I wanted to be all of who this man wanted me to be, but I was not any of who God wanted me to be. Because He is who was sitting on the throne of my heart and not the Lord. And so there's a very, very thin line between love and idolizing. And that's something that you, like I said, the listeners, y'all should definitely know that for sure.
For sure. That was amazing,
Yes.
especially to leave on, but I needed to circle back. I was going to say, when you were talking about being able, like, he's like, I want us to be able to blend. And he's already in the space of like, hey, yeah, come around and let's go do this thing together. I think that what he doesn't understand, and maybe she doesn't either, is that like, this thing took a lot out of me. So give me my time to heal and then be able to even deal with you in some form or way. The fact that the two of you are able to communicate right now is literally, it seems small, but it is a big step in that direction of you being able to get to the point where you have that conversation with her, are able to have some form of a conversation with her. If she is a woman who's like, I know that I did wrong and I really do want us to heal so that we can move on, she'll sit and have a real conversation with you, like a real heart to heart. There's a lot of people that try to stay away from this. I've heard a lot of people say, why would the bio mom and the bonus mom need to even talk? It's really important to do when the situation is tumultuous, because there's a child in the middle regardless. And some people will say, well, I can still love his child without dealing with the mom. And that very well might be the truth in most situations. But to have that child feel that love from all around and being able to do things together and being able to show up for events in the same way, it is important for the two of you to have a conversation, at least, if not to, to air it out, air things out, and get rid of all that unnecessary negativity. I will say my son's bonus mom and I were totally at odds, very much because of kind of this similar situation as yours. And today, if people saw the two of us in a room together, they would not know that she was my son's they would not know that she and I were ever at odds. Wow. They would be like, y'all friends? I'm like, girl, we stay up until 2:00 in the morning talking on the phone. Like, she and I, but it took getting to the core. It took us having a real conversation of like, I didn't like when you did so and so and so. And she's like, she could take accountability for what she did. And she's like, well, I didn't like when you kept doing this. And I was like, I didn't see it like that. To have that alternate perspective and being able to have that conversation with her, I could see how things got the way that they did. A lot of it was the baby daddy. That's where all the confusion came in. But once we were able to have a conversation, the fact that we get along, people are like, how, especially with where y'all started. Like, how? I'm like,
I could definitely say to that. I definitely agree with you, and it is possible. It is possible. If you don't want to have a relationship with me, we don't have to be best friends. That's fine.
right,
If you want a
right.
relationship, that's fine. But I will say that I started with him. I had a very hard, difficult time telling him how I felt. As a matter of fact, when he came in 22, I'll never forget it. God had convicted me. And I was sitting in my living room with my friend, and then I said, you know what? The Lord told me to apologize. And I've apologized to him before for different things that I've done since we've been divorced and separated. And so I took him and I went in my room and I said, I have to apologize because I was very prideful. And you would ask me if you can do things for me, but because I just didn't want you doing it or I didn't think you would do it right or whatever it was, I decided to do it on my own. But then I was upset when you didn't do anything. And so the Lord had me apologize, and it went the way I took it. Oh, you did? Oh, that's what happened. Oh, And so I did what I was supposed to do, regardless of how you take it or what you say or anything like that. I did what the Lord told me to do and say. And so I went to him again at the beginning of, like I said, he called me at the beginning of last year in January, and I was like, "Well, I'm not there yet." That really hurt me. That really, really hurt me. That took a lot of healing. That took I'm expressing this. I'm saying these things to him. And he goes, well, that was the past and things happen and it's over now. And I'm like, okay, so I know
Easy
that you're
for
not
you to say, sir.
understanding. Yeah, I know that you're not understanding to what I am saying. And at some point, it would be good to sit and have that conversation and sit and be able to be like, okay, let's talk. But there's two main factors. One of which is he is teeter tottering. He is when I'm at home, I'm her husband, I'm stepdad, all these things. But then when I'm talking to you or I'm around you, Shonte, I want to pretend to play house and pretend to still be your husband. And those is something I can't help with that. That's feelings and emotions and things that you have to deal with on your own. You have to go to the Lord about. And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing is they are 2-in-1. Are they 2-in-1? And so what the Lord revealed to me about the situation, and this can change based on what they do and how they let God lead them. But what the Lord revealed to me about the situation is he said, I don't want you to try to figure out why they're doing what they're doing. And he said, and accept the fact that you might not ever get an apology. That's hard to
That's
swallow.
it. That's it
That's
right
hard to
there.
swallow.
That's very hard.
That's very hard to swallow because I gave you all of me. I was a person, I didn't want kids, and I had 3. And I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom and wife. I was in college when we met. I had graduated college. I was about to start going, I switched up a whole lot. And so it was very hard to swallow. But God said, you might not ever get an apology. Because for people who don't see any wrong with what they're doing, you can't do nothing with that. He can't even do nothing with that. Because you have to make a choice to want to be better, to want to do better. And that also means taking accountability and responsibility for what you've done wrong. And it's not easy. But if you're going to talk about being a grown up, then you got to be a grown up and be able to do that. And so, I know that the Lord will handle it. He already is. The fact that I am as calm as I am, and my kids were supposed to be back in August. It ain't nothing but God, because I promise you, it ain't the flesh.
Seriously, you like,
It is not
listen,
the
Lord,
flesh.
Lord, take the wheel because
Take
you
the
know I
wheel,
want my
because if I
babies
got
back.
to, I'm gonna hit some people. So Lord, take it.
Listen, that was so good. Oh my goodness.
Yes,
Your
yes,
story just resonates so much with me. And I'm sure it's going to resonate a lot with the
yes.
listeners. And ah, I was like, I had questions, but I feel like we spoke about them. Like you were struggling with boundaries and you were
Yes.
saying that it's patience. That's what's
Yeah.
helping you get
Yes.
through it.
Yes. 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 A lot of patience. A lot of
Jesus
patience.
taking the wheel.
Jesus, take the wheel. I've prayed on this a lot of nights. I've cried about it. I have had a lot of moments, and God said, but that's you being distracted because he gonna do what he gonna do. The enemy gonna do what he gonna do. And for you not to expect it is a problem, especially when you say you're in me. I was like, oh shoot, Lord. Oh, okay. Well, let me step out the way so you can do what you do.
God be checking us.
He be checking. It be real conversations too, because I'll be like, bro, what's up?
For real, that's me. You know? I'm like, listen, God, we did not talk about this.
This was not the plan.
Not how it was supposed to go.
I'm doing what the Lord is telling me to do. A lot of people are kind of amazed. I went through some financial situations since my kids has been gone. I almost lost my home. I was still pushing and doing what the Lord told me to do.
That's right.
And that's all you can do.
That's it.
Is do what he tells you to do.
Have
and
faith.
So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
That is right. What's one thing you want to leave with the listeners? Like one tip that you would say? You've said a lot. Listen, there's been a bunch of nuggets you dropped today. But if you want them to focus on one, what would it be?
I would have to say accepting what you can't change. Accept what you cannot change. You don't mean you're going to like it. It doesn't mean that you're condoning the behavior. But there are things that people do that sometimes you will not have no explanation to. It won't be no rhyme and reason. Their madness will not make sense to you. But accept what you can't change, and remember at the end of the day, even if it's somebody who you are married to or was in a relationship for a long time, even if it's a parent who maybe you might be struggling to have a relationship with, at the end of the day, we are all born sinners, and you have to separate the sin from the sinner. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult because you see this person in the flesh, but you got to believe God for the supernatural. So it's hard, but it is doable.
It is.
And for me, that's something that helped me. I had to keep telling myself over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. He was born a sinner just like you. He was born a sinner just like you. He was born a sinner just like you. Because I was so hung up on the fact with how can you do this to me? How can you do this to us? Forgetting that, yeah, God, we're married. We had that husband and wife title, but you are born a sinner. And just like I face my own struggles and my own things, you do too.
Right. Your thing may not be my thing.
Your thing might not be my thing.
Right. What I struggle with, you may not struggle with.
Yep. So accept the fact that, people, I believe, change for what they see worth changing for. And for me, my relationship with God was worth changing for. And that meant that my marriage wasn't going to be it, because God saw that, okay, no, he's not going to change no time soon. I can't take you back into that, because then you are going to die in that. The Lord, I remember telling my ex-husband a long time ago, I said it jokingly. I said, man, this marriage is going to be this marriage is going to be what kills me, or something like that. And I said it jokingly. But I don't understand then the supernatural, the spirits. I don't understand all those different things. What I'm saying now, and putting out there.
The power of the words.
I don't understand any of those things. And then God revealed it to me. Yeah, remember when you said that? Mm-hmm. If I let you go back into that, you're going to lose all of what we've been doing. Because right now, the only reason why you want to go back is because you was comfortable there. Even though it was dysfunctional, you was comfortable there. Even though it wasn't operated the way I say marriage should be operated, you was comfortable there. And if I let you go back, you're going to lose all of what we've been doing, all that progress. You got to accept the fact that sometimes people will not change, and especially because you asking them to or you telling them to. We have to make the choice to change. Just like we got to make the choice to choose God, we got to make the choice to change on our own. There's nothing that you can say or do that is going to force or make anybody else make a change because you want them to. They have to see it worth changing for. Amen. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's one just worth. Go ahead, swallow it, get some water, gulp it down, and
it literally is exactly that, and it goes right back to what you said about the fact that, like, in these situations where you're in a blended family or co-parenting with somebody, you may never get an apology.
No.
But you still have to find a way to move on.
Yes. Because it will hold
Apology
you
would
back.
be nice. Apology would be really nice, and it will probably help your healing process move a lot faster. However, God is like, I still need you to do the thing. You can't sit here. You can't just sit here. You need to do the thing, and, like, come on, get up.
Yeah, that part. Seriously. Because you don't get to just stop. You don't
Right.
get to just stop. I mean, you can, but at what cost? Not being obedient? I don't want that butt whooping.
Right?
I know what that feels like, okay? I don't want to experience that again.
If you are a believer
and I've
and
come
you've
too
tested,
far.
you know.
I've come too far. I cannot afford to go back.
Right, exactly. Like, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean that you can't mess up. It doesn't mean you won't mess up. It doesn't mean that all tests you're going to pass. It does mean, though, that there are, again, steps to this. There's levels to this. And in order to graduate and get to the next step, to get to the next grade, you have to keep turning it over to the Lord. You have to. You have to. And let whatever it is he give you, take it. It's better just to take it. It's better just to go through it, because if you hold on to it, you're going to end up wasting all this time, and then you're mad and you're upset because things haven't progressed, they haven't moved, but you're still holding on to things that you already told the Lord you was dropping off at his door. You can't do that. Yep. And so it's, work on accepting the fact that there's things that you can't change, and that also goes for people.
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to pray us out of here, which is something that God told me, I don't know, yesterday, the day before. I was like, praying on a podcast, like, God, come on. Me and you talked about can I pray for people in silence? Because I don't like praying out loud, Lord. He's like, ma'am, I told you, do the thing. Do the thing.
Do the thing. All right.
Pray. Father God, thank you so much for my guest, Shonte. I feel so blessed to have been able to hear her story, and that she was able to share it with me. Like, I feel blessed that she felt comfortable enough to share her story here on our podcast. Thank you for this encounter. I always feel like every encounter that you place me in is a divine encounter. We did not meet by accident. Like, this meeting is not by accident. I know that there is a greater thing that you have in store for the both of us. Father God, I ask that you cover her and her family, protect them, guide them, give her all the tools she needs to continue her healing process, and help her child's father, her children's father, her ex-husband, to heal himself so that he can learn to set boundaries in his life, so that their family, as a blended family, can start to heal and move forward. God, I ask that you continue to help Shonte heal so that she can get to a space where maybe her and the bonus mom are able to sit down and have a conversation. Help the bonus mom to be able to say, you know what, I get it. This is not about me. This is about these children. I'm going to sit and talk to their mom. Let's clear the air. Father God, I ask that you step in a mighty way in their family, so that you're in the center of it, and that you guide all of them, protect them. I ask peace, divine peace, to come over the entire family, Lord. I ask this in your name. Amen.
In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Again, girl, I do not like praying out loud. I'm like, Lord, me and you have this.
Girl,
either. You know how I talk to you. I talk to you like you my friend.
It's
I don't want to do that. Yeah, I don't want to do that where other people can hear me.
Yes, I understand. I'm the same way. The Lord has been getting me out of my shell with it too, so I completely get it.
Out of the comfort zone. But please tell thank you so much again, and tell the listeners where they can find you on social media.
Everywhere. I even got Snapchat, and I don't even use it.
tell them all your information, your handle.
Let's see. So everything that you're gonna find is Shonte Murchinson. Facebook is Shonte Murchinson. IG is Shonte.Murchison. TikTok is Shonte Murchinson. And I have a separate page, Facebook page for my podcast, and that's called the Love Talk Podcast. I also record on Spotify, and I stream out to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora. And so that's called the Love Talk Podcast, and that can be found on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify, and so on, Pandora, iHeartRadio.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Everyone, yes. Listen, don't worry. If you didn't get it, it's going to be in the show notes so that you are able to get in contact with her.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with me. I'm so grateful. And we will be connected. We will be talking. Okay.
Oh, I mean, well, look, connect. Let's get it.
It does not end here. It does not end here.
All right. You enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, listeners. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Cocoa Blend Podcast. See you next time.